And yes, this is still a crossover show. Ava couldn't be with us today, but boy, am I excited. You know, for the first time ever, we have a doctor of veterinary medicine, a veterinarian here today to help us, to teach us, to educate us on how to keep our pets healthy, as well as someone who is also going to give us more important information on how to keep our body and our minds healthy. So I am so excited today to introduce Tanya Bork, our veterinarian, and her partner in life, her husband, Thomas Raycult. Welcome, both of you, and thank you so much for sponsoring this show today.
Thank you for having us.
I am really excited that you're here. So, Tanya, tell me, you know, when we first talked, one of the things you said to me, and I just started cracking up, was reminding me of my favorite all-time commercial, seeing that poor little dog on TV during the Super Bowl trying to get through that little hole, and he got stuck.
Yeah.
That was the cutest commercial, and when you reminded me of that, it really did remind me of how serious this obesity problem even is with our pets.
Yeah, pet obesity is huge. I see it every day with my patients, and you know, just a few pounds overweight here or there can be detrimental to their lives, right? So
yeah, they can't even get out of their little doggy doors.
Yeah,
that would be detrimental.
That's right. Over 54% of the pet population is overweight or obese.
Wow.
Yeah, that equates to like 91 million dogs and cats.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's a lot.
Pretty crazy. And it's, you know, even TV is making us aware of it with that Super Bowl commercial, right, where the dog took it upon himself to exercise, right?
That was a very smart dog.
Yeah.
But I have a feeling, though, you're going to let us know that it's not the dog's fault.
No, it's not. Pet obesity is definitely a people problem, because we are the ones that are putting the food in their bowls and, you know, maybe not exercising them and handing them the treats and really just not being aware of what we're doing to their bodies. Pet obesity can come with a lot of problems. Arthritis that can be crippling, diabetes, high blood pressure, breathing problems, and it can shorten their life expectancy up to 2.5 years.
Wow, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, yeah. And it correlates, you know, very closely with what we're seeing in people with obesity, right? Same types of problems. But just to give you an idea, a dog that weighs 40 pounds maybe should only weigh 30 pounds, so that's 10 pounds overweight.
That's a quarter of his weight.
Quarter of his weight.
That's like dogs and cats, they don't have as much leeway as humans do, although I think Thomas is going to tell us we don't have that much leeway. But when you think about an animal, because they're so little, they don't have too much room to...
A quarter of his weight. That's like me having to lose 40 pounds.
Wow.
Yeah, so if you think of it in relation to a person, it really is a huge goal, even a few pounds here or there.
Sure.
So besides exercise, which is really needed too, you're going to tell us a little bit about, without mentioning any specific brands, but about the food that they're eating too. Empty calories. Wow, Thomas, this is like, you're going to have the exact same conversation over here in just a second or two.
Yeah. Foods are definitely more calorically dense. So we're not only being cognizant of that, we're just filling the bowl fuller and fuller each time. And so the dogs are eating more and more, and even in that is more and more calories. So we should be cutting back on their diets and doing our research on the dog foods that we're feeding, and you know, finding out and researching what is best, and maybe, you know, speaking with a professional about that.
Yeah, seriously.
And considering healthy alternatives for treats. Dogs really just want some praise, a little pat on the head or something, but we take the easy way out and reach into the cookie jar and give them stuff, which...
You know, I can't help this. I just keep laughing because every time you're talking, I'm thinking, we're in real trouble because, yeah, we just keep reaching into the cookie jar ourselves, don't we?
That's right.
Yeah. There's so many similarities. It's frightening.
I'm seeing that.
And even dogs can eat, you know, healthy treats like baby carrots, string beans, asparagus, broccoli, celery. Those are good, healthy treats and snacks that can be more beneficial to them than the other ones that we might be feeding.
Very well said. I never thought about that. You know, what I was thinking about when you said that too is how horses, we give them apples and carrots. We wouldn't think of giving them half the things that we put in our own bodies or what we give to our dogs and cats.
Sure, making healthy decisions, not only for your pet, but for yourself too. So things, you know, to work on pet obesity is definitely being aware of it, because I think a lot of people don't realize and that overweight or obese has become the norm and it's being accepted, and people don't realize it or they don't want to acknowledge the fact that their pet is overweight.
Yeah.
And then taking the steps to work on that. So being cognizant of what you're feeding and exercising your pet, right? So not just a leisurely stroll around the block. You got to get your heart rate up a little bit so that 30-minute brisk walk can be beneficial for your pet and for you.
I could just imagine how much happier that pet would be too.
You know, it would actually probably solve a lot of behavioral problems as well, because, you know, dogs are locked up in the house for a majority of the day, and behavior problems can arise because they don't get that energy out. And so by taking them out and walking with them or exercising, playing ball, you know, it releases that energy. It's just like a kid. Can you imagine putting a kid in a room for 8 hours during the day and expecting them to behave?
Especially dogs. I have to say that I have 2 cats, and it's almost, I don't know, I guess I'm a little responsible with them. I really love my pets. Not that you don't love them if you're not doing these things, but you might want to just think about it a little bit. It's like every morning, part of my morning routine is to play with them. You know, they love to chase after little balls and little strings up in the air, and I see how high I can get them to jump, and you know, and I start cracking up laughing because they're so funny. They bounce into each other, and I have a bird, and the bird starts yapping away because he's having fun. And it's like every morning everybody's excited because of all this playtime. And I'm real cognizant that that means this is their exercise.
Yeah, it's an enjoyment, right? So not for our health, right? We get to smile and laugh, which is good for our mental health. And it's good for our pets to engage them and keep them active.
Wow. That's really good.
Yeah.
Anything else that you want to tell us about besides getting out there, walking, playing, and what we're feeding them?
You know, in the end, it's just living a life in which you prioritize healthy eating and exercise for the entire family, including our furry domestic friends. So, you know, part of what Tom is going to talk about is the obesity problem in people, and as you'll hear, a lot of it echoes what I just said with pets. So it's you know, nice to be able to talk about similar things.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. You know, until you start to talk about it and bring the awareness to the table, so to speak, you don't even really think about it, because all while you're talking, you know, doing these kinds of shows so often, all while you're talking, it's hard to even just categorize it, just thinking about it just in terms of pets. You know, because everything you're saying, that's why I start chuckling when you say hand in the cookie jar. You know, I'm thinking about, you know, where my hand goes sometimes, too often than not these days, you know. So the connection is pretty amazing, pretty amazing. So, Thomas, I think you're going to give us some helpful hints on and some sad statistics about us as well, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
And again, thank you for having us. Really appreciate
you're
it.
welcome. You're welcome. Just make sure you keep those pens and papers ready, because we got some really good information here.
And Tanya, thank you for your portion too.
So,
I'd like to speak today in terms of trends and what's happening out there. And realistically, what's happening is that studies show that by 2020, that over 50% of the population will be clinically obese.
Clinically obese?
Yes, that's the trend.
Whoa.
So if you think about, I mean, and the question I ask, isn't that happening like already right now?
Yeah, because I think that's what I had said to you earlier too when we were talking about that, is that the distinction between obese and clinically obese. Because at first I thought, aren't we on that path? Because you hear all that all the time on any news reports. And it's such a problem. I was watching this morning too a program, and they were talking about, you know, obesity and the, well, we'll just say the fast foods and the empty calories, as Tanya put it. So, but you're not even talking about that. You're talking about clinically obese.
Clinically obese.
Meaning?
Well, based on a body mass index chart, right? So there's one scale is height, the other one is weight, and it gives you a percentage. A lot of those people will be in the clinically obese category.
Wow.
And the war that we have, I mean, what we're faced with is obesity in North America, not just the U.S., but in Canada also. So North America, that is the war. And you know, why do some of these gruesome stats exist? Well, if we take a look at some studies by the CDC that I have here, and if we take a look at the graphs, the statistics are done from 1990 out to 2009, and based on a percentage of the body mass index, the darker the areas that are becoming, the darker the blues and the darker the reds, I mean, this is what's happening. So it's a trend of obesity.
So you're just not using it as a trendy word. This is some serious statistics.
Correct, correct. And what it comes down to is really lifestyle. I mean, lifestyle. Let's talk about lifestyle for a second. It is not uncommon to have both mom and dads working these days and working longer hours to pay the bills. So what ends up happening is, you know, people are coming home to their families and they're tired from just running around, just the day-to-day activities. And it's easy to throw processed food in the oven. It's easy to go through the drive-through. It's easy to do this. And not just that, I mean, with the divorce rates, you know, a lot of single parents are working very hard and maybe 2 jobs, not leaving a lot of room for consideration to eat that healthy meal or to prepare that, you know, to be a good example and prepare the healthy meal for their children too. So what ends up happening is we keep pumping our bodies full of just the convenience items.
It's so, you know, when you're talking, I'm thinking about, you both have shared a lot with me on how you live your lives, and I've done a few of the tips that you've given me too, and I've found that it's actually much easier to do some of the ideas that you've given me rather than, and less expensive, rather than driving through you know, fast food places and the food, you know, and they talk, again, some of the specials that I've seen on TV talk about the addictive qualities of fat foods, and it is true, because the minute I pull in one of those and eat, the next day I'm thinking, oh, you know, I just, you know, I'm running from here to there to here to there. It's so easy just to drive through.
There are healthy alternatives for fast food too, you know, where you don't have to go through a drive-through. People just don't realize it, I guess.
Yeah,
right.
Well, that's why I'm glad that you're here.
That's right.
Like health coaches too, right? Health coach.
You know, not to get any more negative, but there also is another statistic that I'd like to share. Generation Y, which is also known as the Echo Boomers or the Generation Next. Studies have shown that that generation may not actually outlive their parents based on some of the trends that are happening. And if you think about it, you know, the enemy, fast food. Fast food is the enemy. So as parents, as coaches, as role models, we teach our kids, and our kids follow what their parents teach them and what we see. And if we're running around looking for drive-thrus and preparing fast meals, processed foods, our kids continue to do the same thing, and that is really what creates some of the issues. And you know, realistically, what does obesity cause? I mean, what are some of the things that obesity can attribute to? You know, you have things such as high blood pressure, the diabetes epidemic, arthritis, depression. All of these.
Heart disease,
and
circulation problems.
Oh, yeah,
Exactly.
the list goes on and on.
Is there any end to it?
Yeah.
Cancers, strokes, everything.
Exactly. And what I was just going to get to is that can ultimately lead to a cardiovascular attack, which, you know, in Western New York, the statistics are pretty high in cardiovascular diseases. And what people, I think, sometimes tend to forget is that these things end up costing households a lot more money in the sense of the amount of medications that people are taking, the amount of visits to doctor's offices and hospital rooms, even something as simple as clothing. You know, you're buying more material. So
we're constantly we're buying the next size.
Exactly.
And the cost of food too,
and
right?
The cost of food.
And drive-through is not inexpensive, and you're, you know, buying more and more food. Your grocery bills go up, and you know, so it's just a general increased cost of living.
Yeah,
much more economical to go to the store. And one of the things that I share with our viewers all the time is what I heard is shop the perimeter of the store, because that's where all the fresh and the frozen is. Anything in the aisles are not good for you. Just my opinion. Not really, though. Statistics. Trying to cover myself there.
But what ends up happening with the stores too is people also are a limited schedule. A lot of people work 9-to-5 jobs, so a lot of people are trying to get to the grocery stores, and to really eat healthy, one, it can be expensive too, but also doesn't have as long as a shelf life as frozen foods, processed foods that sit in the cupboard. So it's really a lifestyle change that I think people need to realize, so that they can, you know, go to the store and continuously go and buy fresh produce and things of that nature, to really try to eat better.
And I just want to add too that even people that think that they're eating healthy, you know, sometimes our foods aren't as nutritious as we think that they are, because our soils are depleted of nutrients, and you know, fruits and vegetables are picked before they're ripe in order to ship, but yet they have most nutrition when they're ripe. So you can think, I mean, you can make those conscious efforts, but you just have to realize too sometimes that unless you're growing your food in your backyard, you're probably still having to, you know, be cognizant that eating healthy may require something different.
More studying, yes, especially because so many fruits and vegetables, just by their own nature, absorb all the chemicals that are sprayed on them, pesticides and things. So even that is an issue. You know, and organic, it's getting a little bit better, because even the mainstream stores are carrying organic, but it's still not completely integrated, so that this law of supply and demand, it's so expensive to eat healthy.
It is.
Let's be honest though for a second. You know, it's much more than just it's much more than just nutrition, you know, staying fit. So 80% of being fit may be nutrition, but the other 20% is, like Tanya was alluding to, you have to get out there and do things and move. And you know, we really appreciate, at least in our local community, what we're seeing. A lot of local gyms, boot camps, a lot of these programs that are there to help people, you know, to hold people accountable, to basically get people on the right track of working out and trying to, you know, get through some of the laborious tasks of working out. You know, there's a lot of accountability coaches and systems out there.
And challenging people.
Yes, and
challenging people to goals, to reach certain goals at certain times.
That's right.
I know you're real good at doing that too with what you're doing.
That's right. That's right. And chiropractors, I mean, you know, really challenging people. A lot of great chiropractors out there that we work with that are really trying to make a difference for other people. But what ended up, would you mind if I shared with you kind of what turned a light bulb on for me?
Sure.
Would that be okay? Would that be okay? So back in April of 2011, last year, basically I was contacted by a roommate from college that I played rugby with, and I found myself a bit overweight, like pushing 240 pounds, working a 12-hour-a-day job, using coffee as a stimulant to keep me up all hours of the day and night. And basically a friend of mine introduced me to the Challenge. And what the Challenge did for me when I took it seriously, realizing some of these trends and statistics, is that in my first 90-day challenge, which I would like to talk about what 90 days means, I lost 38 pounds and dropped my cholesterol 61 points.
Wow.
Yes, thank you.
Wow, that is amazing.
And the power of 90 is basically that I used to think that, well, how do I say this?
Habits.
The changing
Habits,
the
thank you.
habits.
Yeah, the
I knew you were going to go there because wasn't it, I think it was, one of the teachings was that it only took 21 days or something like that to change a habit.
It's
and
90.
Now we're learning it's 90 days.
90 days.
But then, what the good news is, though, is that once you start to make that change, it may be hard in the beginning to you know, have a different lifestyle. And then there's the pluses of it, too. But even though it may be challenging, that after 30, 60, you get to 90 and that habit is gone.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and you've learned new things and you've learned new skills that make the next 90 days easier, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. And 90 days to make a great habit. We, both Tanya and I did our 90-day challenge, and with that, I mean, we developed better eating habits. We're going to the store and eating more fresh produce. And
looking at labels.
Yeah, looking at
I
labels.
was just going to say, reading labels.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And what that creates is a mentality that ultimately will help you. And look, when you feel better and you can do more things for yourself and the community, I mean, that's a win-win situation. So 90 days, create a good habit. And the 90-day, you know, what is the challenge? It's a 90-day transformation. It improves health, allows you to lose weight, get fit. It's simple, it's fun, and it can save you money because, like we talked about, the money that could be spent on problems of bad nutrition and obesity
yes.
is something that can cost the household a lot more money than people are aware of. So yeah, we've had an amazing time, and it's about awareness. I mean, realistically, it comes down to awareness and being aware of your surroundings, being aware of the things that you're feeding yourself and your children, and the example that you set for your family.
Yep. I was going to say that when you were saying awareness, I was thinking, and being responsible. You know, it's like it's so easy. We can get so busy doing, if you think about our ancestral, where we've come from in terms of farming and crop rotation and fresh foods and eating what's in season, to where we are today with all the processed foods, it's just absolutely insane. Our bodies are just never made to be able to sustain this. And our future, I like that, the one diagram that you showed, because our future really is bleak if we don't, and I believe we are. I'm not going to say if we don't start changing, because I believe we are. We see all this initiatives coming from the president's wife, getting moving and doing different things. And I'm so glad the video games, it took how many years to finally now where they have them off the couch playing, they're jumping up and down and moving, and so it's the responsible. And I think that's what you're talking about, and that's what I talk about on this show all the time, that you are 100% responsible, that we've got to get into action and start taking some time from some of these other things we do and putting it into doing some research, visiting some websites.
Prioritizing.
There's the word.
Yeah, prioritizing your health and the health of your family and your four-legged friends and mine. And it's okay to ask for help. I want to just say, ask for help, ask a professional. You mentioned doing your research, but you can't always believe everything that you see on the internet, so you have to make sure that you're looking at reputable places, right? But asking for help or accountability, Tom mentioned that's huge, and just that bit of encouragement, looking at your pet and seeing those eyes, like they enjoy their walk, right? So that could be accountability right there for people with pets. But if you don't, I don't know, maybe ask your neighbor if you could walk their dog or something, right? There's definitely lots of options. Think outside the box. It doesn't always have to be, the same every day. It can be something different. And
I'm glad that you said that, because when my dog passed, I live, my house is near a beach, and so I used to love to walk it. And once she passed, you walk out, it's 5 o'clock in the morning, it's secluded, and I would ask my neighbor all the time to take their dog for a walk, so that I would have, so he got some, because he was a really big dog too, he got exercise, he was happy and I was happy. So that's a really nice, and you may have elderly people in your neighborhood that you can help out that way too.
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe they can't walk in the winter, if and you can help out because their pet still needs to get outside.
That's good.
And it's good for you and it's good for them.
That's really great.
The only way to change it though is if it starts with the human.
Yeah. Awareness, responsibility.
Taking action, putting yourself in a challenge, being a real person, having real results.
Wow,
on the challenge. And challenge yourself. I mean, challenge yourself to a better future. Challenge yourself to be a better role model for your kids.
And when you started doing that, Thomas, both of you have had experienced better, healthy feelings and lifestyle and energy, and both have dropped a lot of weight.
Absolutely.
Yes.
It's amazing what happens to just your attitude.
Yeah.
And how you just radiate the energy out in society when you feel good.
Oh, that's what a wonderful way to end it on. The time has gone by so fast. I can't believe that we're at the end of the program. But you both have been such a wealth of knowledge and inspiration. So I hope that those who are watching today are inspired to get into action, to get moving, to do some research, and to find out what it is that would be best for you to get you moving, because we've got to do something. We got to do something. So thank you so much for coming and sharing with us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
This has been great.
Thank you.
Give me